Good afternoon, Ultra Servers, and welcome to the Ultra Server webinar part 2. As I mentioned in the last webinar, we're going to be going over the Easter Vigil and the Easter season. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the Easter Vigil, this is where we're all been waiting for, all throughout Lent, all throughout Holy Week. This is the big moment. It's the resurrection of the Lord. We're all waiting for this moment. So, what's different about the celebration? I'm going to go ahead and start. We start outside, so that's one of the biggest differences that we have. Starting from the top, a blazing fire is prepared in a suitable place outside of the church. In our case, that place is right beside our carport, in that little grassy patch next to Mary's Garden. This is kind of where we're all going to start. I wanted to provide these pictures so you kind of have an idea where we're going to be. So it's going to be Father, Deacon, all the altar servers, all those who are elect, and the catechumens. We're all going to start outside in this little grassy patch. They call it the solemn beginning of the vigil. Here we start with the blessing of the fire and the preparation of our paschal candle. There's going to be the sign of the cross, a greeting. There's some instruction, the blessing of the fire, the preparation of the candle, and the lighting of the paschal candle. So all of this doesn't necessarily pertain to the altar servers, but it's just a good way for you to know what exactly is happening, and in this case. So just so you know, the priest approaches with the ministers, one of whom carries the paschal candle. In this case, it'll be deacon, in which it usually is. The processional cross and candles are not carried. So yes, we are not carrying the cross or candles during this time. So the reason that is, again, Jesus died Good Friday. We just went and witnessed his death. So we're in, I guess, in a really neat way to say is like we're in mourning. He hasn't resurrected yet. So there is no cross, there is no candles in this particular moment in time. So this is at the very, very beginning. So the altar servers, for the most part, will be empty-handed. However, if you can look at this picture, I'm not sure if you can really tell, but the picture on the left, you'll see one of our altar servers has the incense, and the other altar server, which is my brother, is holding Father's book, which he uses for like as his missal. So there's going to be one altar server with the incense, one altar server holding Father's book, and just so that Father can do his blessing of the fire and the preparation of the candle. So, following the blessing of the fire and the preparation of the candle, we have a procession. So we're going to process in. If you notice here, which I have highlighted, the thurible leads people with unlit candles. So at this time, we're handing out candles to everybody. Everyone inside the church should have candles. All of the elect and catechumen will have candles. And we actually, as altar servers, also have candles, except for the person holding the thurifer, and most likely than not, probably the person that has a book, but if they have a candle, that's okay too. But it's just for easier access in case Father needs his book. I would say that person shouldn't have a candle for that moment. But, we'll see, kind of play it by ear depending on what Father wants. But yes, the person with the incense is not carrying a candle because they are the ones leading us. So, I have another picture here of how we're going to come in. It's kind of a blurry picture because it was dark in there. But the first person to lead is a person with incense, followed by the paschal candle, which in this case will be our deacon, followed by the person with an incense boat. So one of our altar servers is actually going to be holding the incense boat. And then we have another altar server holding the basket. In this basket is our altar server candles. And a microphone or something that we might need in order, for this particular time, at least for the procession, we have that one altar server kind of holding our things that we as altar servers may need. And then followed by Father's book/binder holder. So that's kind of how we're going to all process in. And in this procession, there's a chant. Deacon will say, we'll stop a few times we'll stop at the narthex and say, the light of Christ. And we, as the congregation, should reply, thanks be to God. During this time, if you notice, we have the lighting of the assembly's candles. Normally what happens during this time is that deacon will lower the paschal candle, light father's candle or the altar server candles, and that way, as altar servers and the people around, will light everyone else's candles along the way. Now, that doesn't mean to stop the procession and light everyone's candles. It just means if you light one person's candle and then, let's say, another person, they will help light everyone else in the assembly's candles. So just so that you can kind of see what that'll look like, everyone in the church will have candles, and as you're walking in and you're slowly lighting a few people's candles, they will then light everyone else's in the assembly. So we all start in darkness, and it's just a very beautiful moment, and really, really just kind of take it in as altar servers because it is a very beautiful moment. So after we come in, notice the picture on the left. The Paschal candle in this last year was right in front of the ambo. I do believe for this year it'll be the same. Father did mention that he'll have the candle the Paschal candle right in front of the ambo. So that's kind of where we'll have it. Father will then incense the candle. As you see, you have some altar servers with candles there with Father, and he'll do that. From there, the altar servers will come take a seat where you normally take a seat from. So, following that, we have the Easter proclamation and the exultant. So, in some cases, we have a deacon who will sing this Easter proclamation. Last year we had Alexis, and I do believe this year again we'll have Alexis singing the exultant. So, again, just a really interesting for you guys to know. In this particular part, we're not necessarily doing anything for the altar servers necessarily. Moving forward, in this part we have the liturgy of the word. We have the introduction. We have the first reading, a responsorial psalm, a prayer. Now, just so you know, there is technically 7 readings. However, we will not do all 7 readings. We're only doing the reading 1, reading 3. So again, it'll be reading 1, psalm, prayer. Reading 3, psalm, prayer. Reading 7, psalm, and prayer. Okay? So, after the prayer, we have the glory. In this case, the Gloria. So the glory will be sung. We will ring those bells like we did on Holy Thursday. Ring them until, throughout the whole glory. So after the 7th reading, whoever is put in charge of that, you're going to be by the bells. I think it would be easier in this case to have the bells by your seat in this particular moment, but either or, just be ready by the bells by the 7th reading after the responsorial psalm, and just kind of be ready because by the time Father's done with the prayer, the glory will be sung, and you will need to ring those bells throughout that whole time. It is a workout, so just be aware of that particular moment. From there, we have the gospel reading. During the gospel reading, we need 2 altar servers to go get the candles, kind of like we normally do throughout a regular mass. Go get the candles and stand next to the ambo for the gospel reading. So, just so you know, during the glory, the lights turn on in the church. The drapes where the altar are at will drop. So, just so that you're aware, all of that's happening. The bells are being rung. So for the gospel, 2 altar servers will go up to the altar, pick up the candles, and move over to the ambo, just like a normal mass. So I like to say pretty much from this point on, it's pretty much normal, but let's keep going on. There's one additional part. that is different to a regular Mass. So we have the baptismal liturgy. Okay, so here's where things, again, are a little different, but there's not too much going on necessarily for our altar servers. For after the baptismal liturgy, we have the presentation of candidates for baptism. So this is kind of what's going on during that baptismal liturgy, invitation of prayer, the litany of the saints, blessing of the baptismal water. So a lot of this, there's not necessarily a lot for the altar service to do. We're pretty much at our seats with everyone there. So, and then we have the renewal of baptism promises. Father's going to go around sprinkling with baptismal water. So I didn't highlight anything because there's nothing necessarily that our altar servers need to do in this particular moment. We're all kind of just actively participating as the people in our congregation are and the assembly. So we're just kind of there. Following the baptismal liturgy, we have the liturgy of the Eucharist. This is the same as every Mass that we have. So pretty much from here on out, it is the same. So we have the presentation of the offerings. When they do the offerings, the cross goes to the back like we normally do and comes into the front with the gifts, and then puts the candle back. We have the prayer over the offerings, the Eucharistic prayer, the preface, the holy. During the holy, again, try to be in place so that the person that needs to ring the bells during the consecration is already there. Again, the same time. You will ring the bells 3 times. One, when the priest joins his hands over the bread and the wine. From there, when the priest raises the bread, kind of like we already went over in the last webinar. And then again, when the priest raises the wine. From there, the bells will not be rung, just like a normal Mass. So we'll go through that part. We'll have the Great Amen, the communion rite, or here we say the Our Father, the sign of the peace, breaking of the bread, the invitation to communion, the distribution of communion, and then, we're kind of doing like a hymn or some silence time. Then we'll have the prayer of communion after communion, which is normally kind of like we normally end a Mass. So I like to say after the baptismal liturgy, the rest is the same like a normal Mass. So we'll have the concluding rite, so kind of like we normally do. Father will say a prayer, will tell us, that will be like your key to go get the cross. I do believe we exit with the incense as well, so incense, the cross, the and then we'll just exit like we normally do. Incense, candle, sorry, not the candle. Incense, cross, and then the 2 altar servers, deacon and father. And we exit like a normal Mass. That is the Easter Vigil. So pretty much it is the same. I have a really neat picture from last year, just so you can kind of see. But again, pretty much the same as a regular Mass. We do just, the only difference is we do start outside for the blessing of the fire and the candle. We process in, and we ring the bells throughout the whole glory. So that's the only big major parts that I would say were very different. We do have, like, for example, the baptismal liturgy, but again, this doesn't necessarily pertain to the altar servers. And then after that, we have the liturgy of the Eucharist, which we've done all the time, every Sunday and Saturday and Sunday of the week. So just so that you're kind of already aware of that. So that'll be the end of the Easter Vigil. And, I just want to say thank you for those who are participating or who have participated, and those who participate just in every Sunday. But before we finish this webinar, I did want to kind of go into the Easter Sunday. So this is the next day. This would be for 8, 11, and 12:30, which is tomorrow. This is pretty much a regular Mass, nothing too, out of the ordinary, but what we do have is, where I highlighted in yellow is where we'll have the incense. And this is going to be pretty much throughout all of the Easter season. We'll have the incense, we'll come in with the incense, and Father will incense in the beginning. The rest is pretty much the same. He will incense during the gospel. Okay. After the gospel, we have like the homily. For tomorrow, This is for tomorrow, all those who are altar serving on Easter Sunday. For tomorrow, we'll have the renewal of the baptismal promises and the sprinkling of the blessed water. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but that's where Father and the deacon will go around and blessing everyone with holy water. The altar servers don't necessarily need to do anything in specific during this part, but just so that you're aware, that's something that's a little different. After that will be our creed and our universal prayer. Um, this is kind of how we're going to process in, just a little graphic for you guys, but nothing too different. But after the liturgy of the Eucharist, after the universal prayer, we have the liturgy of the Eucharist. We have the preparation of the altar. So this is where the incense and the cross will go back at the back of the church and come in with the gifts like we normally do. So this is during the offertory time. They will come in and process in. The cross will put the cross back where it needs to go, and then Father will bless the altar. And then from there, pretty much again, a normal Mass. We have the presentation hymn, prayer of the offerings, the Eucharistic prayer, the preface, the Eucharistic prayer, the holy acclamations. We have the Lord's Prayer, the sign of peace, the breaking of bread, the invitation to Holy Communion, the prayer after communion. Again, the same as every Mass that we have following. And at the end, the incense, the cross, and we'll need to exit just kind of the same way we entered. So again, pretty much the same that we've had every Sunday, just that new introduction of the incense in the beginning, during the gospel, during the offertory, and at the end. That's kind of where we'll have the incense. And then where that renewal of the baptismal promises, that's the only thing that's also different. So again, we can kind of go over this before the Masses, but just so that you are aware of those little small changes. So that would be for the 8, 11, and 12:30 tomorrow. Just so that you guys are aware of those little small changes. But again, it's a regular, like normal Mass that we have every week. And that is the end. I tried to make it as brief as I could, but here again is my is our contact information. Our director of liturgy and music is Alexis, and I did provide his email and phone number in case you guys have to miss, or in case you have a scheduling problem. That way you can contact him directly, and he can also let the sacristan know ahead of time. So there's his information, and then there's my information in case you have any questions or something that I can particularly answer for. You could also potentially tell me about if you're going to miss or some scheduling issue. I can always direct that give that information to Alexis as well. So thank you again. I hope you guys have a great Easter. Thank you to all those who participated during Holy Week. Those of you who participate every week, a huge thank you. And again, we wouldn't be able to do it without you guys. So thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a very blessed Easter. Have a good afternoon. See you soon.